The Air Force Base buzzed with energy. Fighter jets gleamed in the setting sun, their sleek bodies reflecting the golden light. The air smelled of jet fuel and adrenaline. Inside the officers' club, laughter and chatter filled the room as pilots shared stories of daring flights, camaraderie binding them together. Against one wall stood the Hall of Fame, a tribute to legendary pilots. Among them was Richard, a fearless aviator known for impossible missions. His photo, slightly faded, still commanded respect. But Mark, a cocky young pilot working for an aviation company, never glanced at the wall. Mark sat at the bar, boasting about his latest flight maneuvers. His friends listened with amusement, exchanging glances. One smirked and leaned in. "You think you're the best? Prove it." Mark raised an eyebrow. "Prove what?" The pilot grinned. "Land on the island with the impossible airstrip." Silence fell. Another pilot added, "That place is cursed. No one who's tried has ever returned." Mark scoffed, taking a sip of his drink. "Sounds like a challenge." His friends chuckled, thinking he was joking. But the next morning, as the sun rose, Mark climbed into a small aircraft, determination burning in his eyes. The flight was smooth at first. The ocean stretched endlessly beneath him, but as the island came into view, Mark's confidence wavered. Jagged cliffs surrounded the narrow airstrip. Wind roared through the rocks, creating violent turbulence. His grip on the controls tightened as he prepared to land. A sudden gust sent his plane spiraling. Mark fought the controls, but the aircraft hit the ground hard, skidding wildly. Metal screeched. His body slammed against the cockpit. Pain shot through his shoulder. His vision blurred. The last thing he saw was his wrecked aircraft before everything faded to black. When Mark woke, he was inside a dimly lit hut. His arm was wrapped in a rough bandage, his shoulder aching. Confused, he struggled to sit up. A deep voice spoke. "Finally awake, huh?" Mark turned to see an old man standing at the entrance, eyes sharp with experience. The man smirked. "3 days you've been out, and you call yourself a pilot?" Mark scowled. "Who are you?" The man chuckled. "Name's Tom. Used to be a pilot myself." Mark's irritation flared. "I don't need a lecture." Tom only grinned. "Clearly you do." Mark stepped outside, his body still weak. To his shock, beside the hut stood an old aircraft hangar. Inside, rusted plane parts lay scattered. His heart lifted with hope. "Can you fix my plane?" Tom sighed. "Not much to work with here, but we'll see." Days passed. As Tom tended to Mark's wounds, Mark worked on his aircraft, scavenging whatever parts he could find. Yet something felt off. There was no radio, no sign of life beyond the hut. No boats, no planes, only the wreckage of forgotten aircraft. Tom never spoke about himself, but he knew too much about flying, about Mark's past, even about the Air Force. "You were in the military?" Mark asked one night. Tom only smiled. A long time ago. His answers were always vague, leaving Mark uneasy. The days stretched into weeks. Mark's strength returned, but frustration grew. The repairs were slow. Each morning, Tom was already awake, working, watching. Mark noticed something chilling. Every plane part they found was old, decades old, yet no new wreckage.